Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Recap. Week 2 is tonight. I've got a 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time pre-game live stream and a 10 p.m. post-game live stream. So if you're on the East Coast, you want to check that out at 7 p.m. You can hang with me for 1 hour right up until the launch of Week 2. Well, in my last video, we talked about Caitlin and Tayshia co-hosting and whether or not there'll be permanent fixtures in the Bachelor community. In this episode, we're going to talk about the political affiliations of Katie Thurston's suitors. You know, a lot of people say, why does this, we're trying to get away from politics. We just want to find love. And it's like, listen, in today's world, we live in a culture war. And it's important to understand that. I'm not going to judge your political views right now, but I'm also not going to be afraid to share mine, and I think that's perfectly fine. If anyone's triggered on me sharing my political views, just look inward at yourself and say, you know what, can we agree to be in different places, or you might agree with me and we can talk further about that. But either way, I think we need to get to a place where we can have conversation. I want to thank everyone so much for subscribing to my channel and for everyone that's been so supportive. If you want to stay in touch for future episodes, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and hit the like button on every video. That really helps with the progress and growth of the channel. And as I get started on this video, I do want to say, for those of you that didn't catch my earlier video today, a quick update on Boone the Basset Hound. My dog, my fiance and I, our precious 12-year-old Basset Hound, he is recovering and in good health as he recovers from a near life-threatening injury. He had his stomach turned and he had to have immediate surgery over the weekend. I want to thank everyone who has donated to his medical bills. You guys have been amazing. Just in the last day, Annalisa, Jen Murphy, Teresa, Julie, Daniel, Sharon, Jessica, Sarai, G. Easty was our 100th Patreon member. Thank you so much, Derek and Lindsay, and everyone else that has donated or sent well wishes. Thank you guys so much. If anyone wants to get the full update on everything that went down, it's on our Patreon episode. We did a 90-minute live stream yesterday. It was really just so therapeutic to talk about it all. It was quite the weekend. We went from full health to coping with potential death back to recovery. And shout out to my fiance, Tasha, because she handled it like such a champ. She saved his life. Simply put, she saved the dog's life by her fast acting. So thank you so much to everyone who's been supportive. I really appreciate you. Now, in this video, we are talking, like I said, about politics. We have someone here I want to give full credit where it's due. This TikToker, Feminist Mama, made a video explaining exactly where everybody stands politically. And as we've talked about during the last year with regards to conversations like Becca Kufrin and her ex Garrett, who couldn't align politically, they had a lot of friction. The question is, can you date and or marry someone that has different ideological views, different political views? I think what we're going to learn in this video as we watch it is that you can't be like, I'm only on this side and then the other side, they can all go to hell. I think whenever we generalize like that, we miss a chance for growth. I think whenever we generalize where if one person's woker than the other person, does that make them bad, or are they just not as far along the journey or on a different journey? And it ties into everything in life these days. And again, this is coming from someone who's extremely progressive. I believe we should all have health care, that I don't think we should worry about, our medical bills draining our life savings. I don't think we should have a minimum wage that's requires you to have 3 full-time jobs to raise a family. I don't think we should have to worry about some of the insane abortion issues that exist across our country. I think we should trust our doctors and science, medical professionals to make the best decisions they can possible for their patients. I think women should have full body autonomy. If this is too much for somebody who's watching my Bachelor channel, I think the problem's you. I truly mean that. If this is too much to not be able to accept someone else's belief, then I think the problem is you, and I think you don't need to be a part of the conversation. There's plenty of people that disagree with me that still can enjoy my content. And, Patrice O'Neal, one of my favorite comedians of all time, may he rest in power, said, if you're not walking half the room, you're not trying hard enough. So I am not saying that to push anybody away, but I'm saying it is your active decision if you can't handle these types of conversations. With that said, I'm open to anyone else's differencing of opinions. There's so many different political factions in our country that it's such a disservice that we only have a two-party political system. It is such a disservice, and the powers that be want to keep it that way. I don't see progressives necessarily as Democrats, and I don't see all Republicans as bad. There are people that I think are misguided, and there are people that don't understand how far their vote has been bought and sold by big pharma, by lobbyists, by all the money in politics. That's why I don't write off the humans. I don't write off the individuals within our country, because I truly believe that most people are trying the best with the information they have, and there's a ton of ignorance and misinformation out there. So in the end, I just ask everyone to keep an open mind to, I know I've changed people's opinions, and you know what, maybe you might change mine, but there is no ultimate evil and there is no ultimate good. We're all somewhere in the middle trying the best with the information I have. So and I don't mean that as a cop-out, guys. I really don't. One of the biggest problems with people that are in my political party is that they think they're better than others. And the truth is they're not. But if we all just use all of the available empathy that we can to understand that everyone's trying their hardest and their best, and some people operate from fear, and that's because of the system that we're put into. The caged rat system that we're put into can really make people do devastating things. So let's just preach education, learning, and growth, and we'll get through this. Let's watch this quick TikTok. She shares a ton of information. Here we go.
Here's the contestants of the Bachelorette Political Edition. Katie is an outspoken Democrat and has used her platform to ask people to vote, speak on Black Lives Matter, and address Asian hate. Like Christian, most of her contestants are infrequent voters who don't talk politics on their platforms, which is a huge disappointment. Greg, who got the first impression rose, seems to be educating himself and has been using his platform to talk about systemic racism. Cody is a registered Republican, probably because his parents are, but he is fully vaccinated and follows the Democratic governor of California. Andrew is a DA and strikes me as a moderate corporate Dem. Justin is a Democrat, same as John, and probably Joshua. Cutman Connor is a queer ally who wore a trans anklet the entire season in support of his trans sister. The other Connor is a Republican with a Bible verse in his bio. Hunter has used his TikTok account to talk to followers about Black Lives Matter. Carl is a community volunteer and Democrat. Thomas stays out of politics. Brendan is Canadian. Same as Blake, though he defended Rachel Lindsay and is a conservationist. All Bachelor Nation Garrett's are shit. Though not nearly as bad as Trump supporter Mikey, who has publicly spoken about toxic purity culture. Michael seems like a good person. Same as Courtney and Kyle.
Oh my gosh, that was so much information. What the hell? I could do 20 hours on this. Greg has spoken out against systemic racism, which, you would think the bar is set so low. That's all I can say is the bar is on the ground for some of these issues. Of course, I think we want everyone in our country to not feel oppressed in any way whatsoever. Equality. Equality comes in different forms. It's not just giving someone the right to vote. It's being able to walk down the street with a hoodie on and not get shot and killed. And there's plenty other examples of what equality looks like. And we're not there yet. The pursuit of equality is what we should be after, because we're not there. Cody, fully Republican, but fully vaxxed. The fact that the vax is even an issue. Democrats and Republicans, grab me a tissue. What the hell is going on? The fact that vaccination. Listen, guys, I'm fully vaxxed and I'm extremely healthy. All right. I didn't have it. Tasha on her second dose had a little bit of a problem. She had a hard day. I was completely fine. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. Justin's a Democrat. A lot of artists lean left, and I don't think it's got something to do with all the corporate elite in Hollywood, they're running the show. No, I think naturally there's some, like I said, I think that some of the differences between left and right are the ways we deal with empathy, and I think artists have a different maybe muscle in their brain or soul that sees other people's issues, and they kind of spill that out. And again, not saying there aren't Republican artists, but it's wildly one-sided. You know what I mean? It's when you look at statistics, you have to look at things and go, okay, that doesn't mean Democrats are better for artists in any which way. It just means people that align with a lot of artistic creativity also vote in a way that they might see it to be some of the core issues of Democrats. And again, I have to say, because I'm going to get comments about this, the fact that someone like Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders are in the same political party. Bernie Sanders is technically an independent, but he ran as a Democratic in the primaries for the presidency in the Democratic Party. So the point is that the system is so blown out and it's so wild, the different factions, that, just because someone's a Tea Party Republican doesn't mean you might live in a red state and you're a farmer and you vote based off of traditional Republican values. Although I would argue now the tradition, like what has become the Democratic Party, is more conservative than a lot of first world countries, and the Republican Party is blown out the water. But whatever the case may be, it's all shuffled. We all know Trump was a Democrat, right? We all know that Donald Trump flipped parties right before he ran for presidency, and then he moved to Florida to dodge taxes. But the point is that it's don't anyone dare comment on some blanket left versus right thing. Don't generalize, guys. Blake, Canadian. They go, that person's Canadian. She said, all Garretts are shit. So funny. So funny. Connor B wore a trans flag. This is from Connor's mom, I believe. While we're proud that our son Connor is going to be on the season of The Bachelorette, we're even more proud that he wore a trans flag ankle bracelet, picture number 2, in honor of his sister and all trans people for all of filming. That's very beautiful. Good for him for spreading awareness. Of course, the suicide rate and the crime rate, the hate crime rate for on trans people is extremely high. It's something that obviously in the last few years there's been a bigger movement for trans rights, but there is literally zero reason why we shouldn't want everyone, regardless of your gender, regardless of what type of person you're attracted to, whatever the case may be, there's just zero negotiation for wanting everyone to feel like they belong in this world. Mikey spoke out about toxic purity culture. Of course, he's the 30 or 31-year-old virgin. So we'll have to see a lot about that. Of course, I made a lot of videos about purity culture with regards to Colton Underwood. As we know now, Colton Underwood has come out as gay, but in the last 6 months or so, maybe even almost a year now, we've talked a lot about the issues that led to him stalking and harassing his ex, which still, a part of that is purity culture. The idea that you're saving yourself for this perfect scenario or the one. And again, not to say that there's anything wrong with waiting for marriage or tying your sexuality to your religion and your beliefs. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's the outside pressure from others. That's the purity culture we talk about. That's what's dangerous. Feel what you want to feel, but don't feel the shame or whatever because you promised when you were 13 years old that you wouldn't, bump any Harrisons until you had a ring on your finger and paperwork signed. That's foolish to me. So feel what you want to feel, but just understand the amount of guilt and weight that's put on our shoulders as we grow up. It can lead to some wild things. Colton as well. I mean, he was literally on the show as a last-ditch effort to hold on to his heterosexuality. That is purity culture 101. So it'll be interesting to see the conversations Mikey has with Katie Thurston, who I'm sure I can't speak on behalf of her, but I'm sure she would absolutely welcome someone who is a virgin, but not someone who's a virgin that's going to judge her as well. You know what I mean? Not to say that Mikey will, but we'll have to see more about that. And it's so funny that she said Connor sees a Republican. So there's two different Connors. And let's watch. Honestly, we have to watch this one more time because I missed half of it. So let me just try to take some more notes here.
The contestants of the Bachelorette Political Edition. Katie is an outspoken Democrat and has used her platform to ask people to vote, speak on Black Lives Matter, and address Asian hate. Like Christian, most of her contestants are infrequent voters who don't talk politics on their platforms, which is a huge disappointment. Greg, who got the first impression rose, seems to be educating himself and has been using his platform to talk about systemic racism. Cody is a registered Republican, probably because his parents are, but he is fully vaccinated and follows the Democratic governor of California. Andrew is a DA and strikes me as a moderate corporate Dem. Justin is a Democrat, same as John, and probably Joshua. Catman Connor is a queer ally who wore a trans anklet the entire season in support of his trans sister. The other Connor is a Republican with a Bible verse in his bio. Hunter uses his TikTok account to talk to followers about Black Lives Matter. Carl is a community volunteer and Democrat. Thomas stays out of politics. Brendan is Canadian. Same as Blake, though he defended Rachel Lindsay and is a conservationist. All Bachelor Nation Garretts are shit. Though not nearly as bad as Trump supporter Mikey, who has publicly spoken about toxic purity culture. Michael seems like a good person. Same as Courtney and Kyle.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Mikey speaking about toxic purity culture is, because I didn't understand that. We'll have to see if that is him being for it or against it. We'll have to see what that is. And the Democrat who is a district attorney. Listen, you can't find me a district attorney, and please let me know who is not guilty of a lot of the issues with systemic racism in the prison system. I mean, even Kamala Harris. Let's be honest, right? Before she's got some. It was wild how she was considered the most progressive vice president, or at the time one of the most progressive candidates as she was running for presidency, because she was guilty of the mass incarceration just like everyone else is. If you work in our system, if you work in the system that has caused these insane issues with the black community and other communities being arrested at a higher rate. Obviously, if you're going to stop and frisk people in New York City and 90% of them are going to be minorities, obviously they're going to be the ones put in jail. And it's a slave system. It's a modern day slave system that we have here. A lot of states, if you have a felony, you can't vote, and then your voice doesn't matter. And we need to change all this, and we're starting to, but there's a long way to go. And the more you learn about these types of things, I feel like the more you understand that there is a way to vote with compassion and vote on the ground level for like people in your community that you want to see the change. It's very slow, but change is moving. I do believe. So very interesting that the full array of contestants there and where they all stand. And Katie's going to have to, people have said in the comments section, let's read a few comments because people have said like, geez, did these guys not know what show they were going on? Like clearly, let's go to the comments here. Let's sort by best. You know me, we don't have time to waste. Let's go to the best comments here. This is on Reddit, some things people have said about the show. I was hoping this Garrett would break the mold, but nope, they're all garbage rats. If you know, you know. I don't know anything about, they didn't say anything about Garrett yet, so we'll have to see what they're actually in referencing to. Believes in purity culture, but goes on to the Bachelorette. WTF, Mikey? Is he a virgin? Yep, probably added just to create conflict this season. Well, if it was between Mikey and someone who's drama-free, the producers are going to choose Mikey every day of the week, going against a sex-positive person. There is a storyline there. This is one of those things that I think is different in the bubble versus real life. In real life, one of the first priorities is finding out where you both stand on certain ideological issues, and at least for myself, a lot of those can be deal breakers. In the bubble, I feel like some of that falls away and can make for a rude awakening after you leave the show environment. Totally get that for older seasons, but I'm surprised that they don't ask, don't tell approach has held up post-Trump. At this point, I would be trying to work in the question night one. Yeah, I don't see a person who's very hard against Trump falling for someone who is very pro-Trump at this point. This is the culture war we speak about. I see that being the ultimate litmus test. I think someone can be a Republican and say, you know what, I grew up in Texas. These are my core values. I believe in less taxes, which is insane because, of course, Republicans want to inflate the military and they just, they don't want to tax. Listen, I think if we all broke down the numbers, we'd be okay taxing the rich on a marginal tax increase when you make over a certain amount. It's like you have people that make $70,000 a year defending those that make $10 million a year, and it is banana land to me. I just had a banana. It is banana land to me where our priorities are, and it's so etched in our head to vote one side versus the other. And I challenge people to say, why during a year of global pandemic where so many people lost their lives and lives of loved ones and so many people's jobs went bankrupt, why are we okay with the top billionaires not paying any taxes, paying 1% in taxes? Why are people like me paying 30%, but we're okay with the top people not? I think we are so blind in our heads, so far up our asses, that we're unwilling to look at this in a way. And again, don't get me wrong. I could talk all day about this. Maybe we will. But right now, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Someone said, yes, this is totally how I feel. I'm very much a liberal, and there is 0% chance I could be with someone who is a Trump supporter. That would just clearly indicate to me that we do not share the same beliefs and values, and I'm shocked at how little this has historically played into connections on the show. Yes, while my alternative single self could probably make a go of it with someone who is fairly moderate or not that political, there is zero possibility that I could date a Trump supporter. This is a lot less Trumpers than past seasons, so I'll take it, to be honest. Yay for Mikey. I like that this went deeper than the person is registered as a Republican. This person is registered as a Democrat. I'm a registered Republican, but I don't agree with Republican views. I live in a red state, and for pretty much any statewide office, the winner of the Republican primary is going to win the general election. I'm registered Republican so I can vote for the lesser of a few evils in the primary, then vote for whoever I want in the general election. I'm not even trying to shit on them, but did some of these guys not know who Katie was before going on the season? Sex-positive Katie, who is very vocal about social issues and very obviously leans left, how do they think it would work? Some people just don't give a shit about Katie and just in it for the TV exposure and platform. However, I found that oftentimes conservatives, especially conservative men, resent the idea that mismatched politics can be a relationship deal breaker. No, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I think I know plenty of guys who want to date someone who at least resembles some sort of same moral compass that they have. I remember reading an article about DC dating in like 2017, and so many men in Trump's administration lied about their jobs because otherwise women they were dating, hooking up with would ghost them. But the guys didn't care they were dating a Democrat. Very interesting. It's not unusual to apply during an earlier season. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of conservative Christians signed up hoping Maddie would be Bachelorette. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's the Bachelor producers do have a talent pool of like pre-screened people. Like we know Greg Grippo was supposed to be on Claire's season, but he was too young for Claire. They kind of had him in their pipeline. So they don't always line it up perfectly to who the Bachelorette may be. Someone said, I don't think some people really care who it was in their political beliefs. I think they just want the platform and notoriety, to be honest, which sucks. Yeah, I mentioned that to my boyfriend while we were watching, specifically the virgin contestant. I don't have a problem with virgins being on the show. It doesn't bother me at all, but I find it ridiculous that a virgin contestant came on a super sex-positive leads season, and it's not a secret that she's super sex-positive either. Seems like he's there for fame. It's almost like I feel like Katie's less sex-positive and more do whatever the hell you want with your body as long as you're happy and you take care of yourself, you know, which obviously is sex positive. But, you know, it's not like I don't think she's some person who every conversation she has wants to be about sex. I think the show plays up on that because she brought a sex toy. I don't know why I used a pen as a sex toy. You know, one of those James Bond pens. Yeah, it's got a laser beam and it vibrates like hell. Let me tell you something. Ball sack point pen. How are you able to get voting frequency on the app Vote With Me? All right, so you can tell because they did say some of the people didn't have the same voter frequency as others. You know, a lot of people live in a state where it's so blue or it's so red, they don't think their vote matters. But the truth is, when it comes to appointed officials, even in our state, sheriffs and all the down ticket items, I mean, we live in a country in the United States of America. I'm not going to play the national anthem here. We live in a country where we are so undereducated on our political process. When I studied abroad in France, I was shocked how much more the French people knew about my United States of America. And I know I'm not alone there. I know a lot of people up until the last couple of years have had their head in the sand. And we need to understand, whether it's Democrat or Republican, that we need to hold our officials accountable. We need to hold them accountable that they represent that demographic. Due to gerrymandering, due to voter suppression, due to so many reasons, we have politicians in office that don't represent us, and that's the true crime. The true crime is not, oh, Nancy's Republican, so she's evil, or Billy, he's pro-choice, so he's the devil. The true crime is that we live in a country that's supposed to be a democracy, and our voices aren't reflective of our politicians. Everyone has to get out there and vote every election. And we need to do it with pride. And it would help if we had a national holiday to do that. So people didn't have to decide whether or not they needed to wait in line for 3 hours because, you know, in the inner cities, there's less voting places and they didn't get a day off of work. So many issues to talk about. All I ask of you guys is please be kind, because I am just done responding to comments of people that are just, you know, see the title and the headline of the YouTube video and they fire off a comment that's ignorant. By all means, leave a comment. I would love it if you do so. And if you want, you can join the Patreon where I talk about a lot of this and other things and behind the scenes info. You can go check it all out there. I appreciate everyone for all their support, but let's do our best to be smart and kind to each other. And that's it from me. Everyone have a good one. I'll see you at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the pre-Week 2 live stream, and then a 10 p.m. Pacific Time for the post-Week 2 live stream. Plenty of content coming up. Hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.